Hi guys, good morning and welcome back to school. I hope that you had a wonderful spring break. I know that our welcome back is a little different being on a digital platform, but that's okay because we can make sure that we have a positive mindset and keep a good attitude and make sure that we enjoy all these moments that we have at home. I love you guys. I've missed you guys very much, and we're about to start our new book study. So this book is titled Writing Freedom, and if you go back a couple to last week, I read the blurb about the book so you can have a little bit of an idea what it is before we start it if you want to go back and do that. Otherwise, get ready and hop on in. Unfortunately, there's not a digital version of the book for you to read along with, so this will be comprehension based, which means that you'd have to be a very good listener. Okay. Before we begin reading, I want to be a good reader and make sure we read over the questions that you're going to be answering in your Google Classroom. So I need to see if my screen will move over and, oh no, it won't. All right, I'm going to pause here and see if I can open it up real quick. Okay, thankfully I figured out how to do so. So now, excuse me, I went into Google Classroom and now I have your slide open that is titled Writing Freedom Comprehension Questions. And today's reading, you're going to be answering slides 2 and 3. So the first chapter is actually called In the Beginning. So it's kind of like a preview into the storyline. So it's probably going to introduce our character and our setting and maybe part of our character's problem. So let's take a look at those questions. In the beginning, what is the setting of our story? And if you need to remember what setting is, we got to think about, setting is where, so I wonder where the story is taking place, and when, so it's talking about time frame. So maybe it's taking place during summer, or maybe a date will be specific, or a month will be specific. So pay attention for that. Question number 2 is, who are the main characters? So we're going to be introduced to our number 1 main character, and maybe there's some other names that'll pop up that we can tell will be throughout the book. What happened to Charlotte's family? So it sounds like it is going to introduce the problem. Something did happen to Charlotte's family, so make sure you pay attention to that. Oh my goodness, this beautiful blue heron just went right past my window, and it was so pretty. We have a lake in our backyard, so he likes to live out there. Okay, chapter number 1 comes right after the beginning, and we're also going to read that today, so make sure you pay attention to those questions. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go from chapter to chapter. So let me go ahead and read to you in the beginning, and then in the next video, we will read the questions for chapter 1, okay? All right, in the beginning. This is Writing Freedom by Pam Munoz Ryan. And if there happens to be a picture in the book, I'll make sure that I turn it around and show you, okay? In the mid-1800s, wink, wink, sounds like a setting, when the East was young and the West was to be settled, a baby was born named Charlotte. When she was nothing more than a bundle, she surprised her parents and puzzled the doctors by surviving several fevers. Folks said that any other baby would have died, but Charlotte was already strong. She walked before most babies crawled, and she talked before most babies babbled. And she never cried unless someone took something away from her. A few months after Charlotte's 2nd birthday, on a blustery evening, she rode with her parents toward their small farm in New Hampshire countryside. Their horse-drawn wagon was rickety, and it swayed back and forth with each gust of wind. Thunder made the horses skittish, and they reared and struggled in their harnesses. Charlotte sat up straight in her mother's lap, watching the trees and waving in the wind and listening to the horses' loud whines. Her father tried to settle the team, and her mother held Charlotte smugly and sang a song to comfort her, but Charlotte wasn't afraid. A crack of lightning lit up the countryside, and the horses lurched forward, reeling down the road out of control. "Hold on!" her father yelled. "Stop!" screamed her mother. "Keep them straight! Keep them straight!" Charlotte's mother clutched her horse and tried to hold on to the frantic horses, and it dragged the wagon over the bumpy road. Her father hollered, "Whoa! Whoa!" But the horses already lunged deep down in the hill, in the crowded streets. I'm sorry, I messed up that line. Let me reread that sentence here. But the horses had already lunged down a steep hill crowded with trees and boulders. Tree limbs smacked the horses, frightening them even more, and the wagon followed, plunging over the side and smashing into the tree trunks before it overturned on a rocky ledge. Charlotte was thrown free of the splintered wagon and landed in a bed of grass. Her father and mother were killed instantly. Unharmed, Charlotte waved to the snuffling horses who were now free of the wagon. Like nursemaids, they hovered around her, and at times they whined as if they were calling for help. Rain drenched the countryside, and Charlotte shivered through the night, but the horses stood close by, protecting her from the rain and nuzzling her with their warm body. The horses were still keeping watch over Charlotte when the neighbors found her the next morning. She was holding so tight to one of the horse's reins that they didn't dare pry it out of her hand. The old doctor, who had known Charlotte since she was born, wasn't at all surprised that she survived the crash. Instead of taking the horse's reins out of Charlotte's hand, he cut the leather well above her grip. "Well, she might as well have something to hold on to," he said. "She hasn't got much else anymore. There's no other family to speak of." The doctor looked up at the people who had found her. "We've got enough mouths to feed," said the man, and his wife turned away. "I hate to think of how you'll grow up in an orphanage," the doctor said as he carried Charlotte. "But if anybody can make home alone in this wild world, it's going to be you. Since the day you were born, you've been determined as a mule and as tough as a rawhide bone." And that's all that's in the beginning, and we are about to start chapter 1. So go and answer your questions real quick in your Google Classroom. Go ahead and do slide 2 in the beginning, and then tune in to chapter 1, and I will see you on the next video.